And we are on air. Hello everyone and welcome to the second portion of the Drexel Freethought Society Weekly Podcast. This portion is dedicated to you guys. So please message us at drexfreethought@gmail.com or join the live chat on Spreaker. Just search for Drexel Freethought. Or you can call us on our Skype account, Drexel Freethought, all one word, capitals don't matter. And we want to hear what you think on the subject of can atheists be moral?
Especially that one guy you're talking about.
Especially all those people that disagree with us. We want to hear from you the most.
I disagree. No, I'm just kidding.
Get out of here, Oxen!
Can atheists be moral? No.
Atheists eat babies, therefore they're not moral.
Atheists are evil. They all hate on me.
There was a thing that Chaz, one of our frequent listeners, mentioned right before this thing ended. We were talking a lot about like murder because it's kind of a go-to thing for morality. We generally think that murder is bad, and we went so far as to consider that could that actually be an absolute thing? What if the person's really sick?
Euthanasia!
And they want to be murdered?
That's why I think murder is kind of an abstract area. I prefer something that causes absolutely no good, which is rape. Rape, I feel like, is a moral absolute.
I have an exact situation where it gets really, really complicated.
Please, I want to hear this. Please go.
Okay, so I think it was like Vietnam, because Vietnam was pretty bad.
Yeah, they raped everyone, and they did some pretty horrible shit to those women.
Yeah, Vietnam was pretty bad for everybody involved. Okay, so, I don't know enough Vietnam to actually be critic on it. But the idea is that, say you're in the jungle, you're with your platoon, and whatever group of people you're in grabs a bunch of women. And this is horrible. You're just like, what are you doing? It's like, this is a completely unethical thing to do. And then your commanding officer says, this woman is going to be raped. Do you want to, it's like, she's yours. Go and enjoy it. If you don't
she's yours.
No, listen.
Women are humans too, okay?
I said just listen. These people don't exist. This isn't happening.
These people did exist, and they did do this.
I know. Just listen to the rest of the thing. No, it says this woman is going to be raped. You know this is going to happen. Do you rape the woman so you can make it as not horrible for her as possible? Or do you let her to this mob of horny, horrible men who are probably going to kill her?
Yes.
What do you do?
And this is what I do.
Jesus.
That's one of those moral, like, oh God kind of questions.
I bring this...
When would this ever happen?
This could happen,
the
idea.
Actually, the Myling Massacre, I believe something similar to this did happen.
If like your commanding officer just says this one is yours,
they've done this,
and then they're just like, you know in your head that this woman is going to be brutalized in some terrible fashion and probably killed. Do you make it as not terrible for her as possible?
Okay, first of all these people are really fucked up. If your commanding officer is telling you to rape someone,
no, I know. I agree. I'm saying, I'm just repeating the ethical dilemma. I agree.
Not effed up.
And I don't entirely know what I would do. I'm really just in the camp of I really hope this never happens.
Come back to this tent with me, and then once they're there, be like, okay, go out the other side, you're free.
And then it'll just be like, she escaped.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, let's put it...
Actually, honestly, I would just be like, I would take take the firearm or something and just hit myself on the side of the head and just be like, oh, knock me unconscious.
Okay, well, what if this was a woman and your commander officer is telling you a woman to go rape a guy? How would you feel about that situation?
I'd be slightly more confused, but I still stand. I still completely stand by my statement. Is it still a horrifyingly ethical dilemma?
Rape is still rape, no matter who it is.
Of course, but I'm just saying that it's a very complicated dilemma, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Is that even with something as horrendous as rape, and no matter if you're religious or not, the ethical dilemma still stands. There is conceivably a situation where you might be forced into the situation.
I would take them into a tent and basically say, okay, what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to read this book for a while, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to make noises and sounds.
Well, the idea is you don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
I would
be like, just like motion, be like.
No, and the idea is that she is suitably freaked out.
So how
what
do
if they
you do
knew
it?
their language?
What?
What if I knew their language?
It's Vietnam. Well, whatever.
It's not war!
Okay, I didn't actually want to go really into this ethical dilemma, but I'm just saying that even with something like that, there is a conceivable situation where it is extremely difficult and complicated.
And it's also a value assumption, not a reality assumption. Unfortunately.
What about adultery?
I didn't see that as actually a moral dilemma.
Some people do.
I just really think that you're being a dick, and whoever you just cheated on should break up with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Is adultery ever acceptable?
If you're swingers, then
if you're swingers or if you're polygamist.
I would just
Or if you're polyamorous.
If you go the idea of a relationship, as far as I see it, is that you just kind of agree with the person that you're with on some arbitrary set of standards. Like, you could very well be, I'll make a sandwich for you every Tuesday, and in exchange you will give me a ride to work. It can be stupid and arbitrary. It doesn't matter. They're a couple. They can do whatever they want.
This goes to
Except rape each other.
Well, the idea is that's a non-consensual act.
Exactly.
So as long as
rape happens in relationships.
No, I know, and that is a breakdown of the standards that people set up, I imagine.
Okay.
I was gonna say, can we just arrive away from the rape topic right now?
I'm trying to get into other things. So it's like, relationship-wise with adultery, is if you set up standards that are just saying, we will not, we're not going to cheat on each other, that makes me uncomfortable. Then they're like, oh, me too. Okay, cool. But then if you have one person who's just like, I want to also see other people, and the other person is okay with that, then okie dokie, not for me, but have fun.
Yes, I have my own stories about stuff like that, but I'm gonna spare you all that unless it's really requested by people.
It's fine. But yeah, so even adultery, something could be seen as incredibly immoral, but what if the person cheated on you? And then you're just like, oh, so the relationship is broken, so I might as well go see other people also.
Also,
Technically the relationship never ended, but it ended to you.
Also,
So-
we're going to step in the creep zone and creep right back out. Some people have a fetish for it.
Fetish for what?
Adultery.
Just being
Cuckolding.
being
It's like, my wife is cheating on me. That's hot. Some people really do have that.
Mhm.
There's a fetish for everything.
Spoons.
Yes.
You know, certain people, like, they have this thing, like, I've heard this, like, certain, like, guys, like, once, like, their, like, wife, like, has children, they're like, oh my gosh, like, she's the mother of my kids. I can't, like, have sex with her. Like, she's the mother of my kids. I can't, and she's, like,
I can't have sex with her because she's a mother.
yeah, it's just, like, I can't, like, I have to, like, other people, like, I don't know, it just...
I would find someone else and ruin the life that I have.
I don't get it, but apparently that's how it
Hang on a
works.
sec. I think what she's trying to get at is like, I shouldn't have sex with this person because this person is the parent of my child. As in referring to another person.
What? No. The idea is that this person had this person had my children. Therefore, she's like a sacred object that should not be sullied or some crazy justification.
They were already sullied.
Yeah, that's how it got there.
Had my children. Therefore, she's like a sacred.
Whoa! Echo.
Sorry about that, folks. I just wanted to make sure the live stream was working. Anyway, it is. The phone lines are open, folks, so if anyone is interested, call on in.
Yes.
Or we can just talk about adultery some more.
Well, no, this is the idea of just moral dilemmas. And to bring it back to atheism, is if you don't have an incredible doctrine that makes things just as arbitrary, but a lot less elastic, or plastic, I guess. If you make incredibly rigid, arbitrary rules, then it can cause a whole lot of complications, especially in your personal life.
Here's the question.
I wasn't finished.
Narf.
But you can ask your question.
Okay, so I have this game, and it's called Dishonored.
Is it called Talk Louder?
Yes. No, it's called Dishonored, and basically, you have a choice when you're this person because you're like you're an assassin. But you have two choices. You have one choice to basically just go and kill them, or you have the choice the non-lethal way, but you don't know it until you actually do it. So here's my question. I didn't know what the non-lethal way was in, getting rid of this one target. And I chose the non-lethal way because I always wanted to do the non-lethal way because, I didn't want to kill anyone in my game. But what I did was I was like, okay, I'm going to choose the non-lethal way for this woman. So I basically knocked her out, and this guy was waiting there in a boat for her. I thought he was just going to take her away to some place and just leave her there. But I took her, and then I threw her on the boat, and then he said dialogue, maybe later on she'll learn to actually like me and understand me. And that made my brain go to the idea of, oh shit, he's going to rape her over and over again.
Language.
So, sorry. So is it worse to do that, or is it worse to kill them if you had no other choice?
Oh,
what is worse? I think the non-lethal way was worse. Because they're like being tortured for the rest of their lives. If you look at it that way, it's really weird.
I agree. And
I didn't know.
No, this is the entire. That was the thing I wanted to comment on your comment. If you have ethical dilemmas that you don't know existed, are you culpable for them? Like, are you responsible for your inaction or I guess, are you responsible for your actions or lack of action?
Okay, if you didn't know something was going to happen, how are you supposed to accurately respond to it?
That's like inaction. So are you saying like inaction?
But if you think you're doing something right, but then, through that, you're actually doing something terribly wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You didn't know what the situation was. Like, in your case, you didn't know that guy was going to rape her later.
In the video game.
Yeah, in the
video game.
You didn't know that guy was going to end up raping her or, making her a slave or whatever. You thought, if I don't kill her, it's better off. But you didn't know what the situation was afterwards. If you don't know what the situation is after you have moved on, there's nothing you can do about it. So you shouldn't feel like it was your moral obligation to make sure that she was okay because you thought she was okay. When you left her, she was just unconscious. There was nothing wrong with her.
Oh, this is
actually... There's something wrong with you.
Well, you didn't kill her. She wasn't dead.
This actually goes into an interesting article/picture that I've seen go around the internet a few times. I forget exactly where it was or who this woman was, but she laid out a table of mundane household objects, outright weapons, and a bunch of other things, and she stood next to it, and she wrote a sign that I think she had her held next to her, it was on the table, and it said, "You can do whatever you want with me, and I will not stop you."
Okay.
Yeah.
After several hours, I think, her clothes were ripped off, she was bloodied, not giant jagged scars, but people were poking rose thorns into her skin. And then I think there were outright weapons. One person held up a loaded gun to her head, and I think that was the only time where somebody actually was like, "Whoa, what the hell are you doing?" and then pulled the guy away from doing that.
Okay, the reason I just got on my iPod is because I was looking at, I remember there on list first there was a list of moral dilemmas. So if you don't mind, I think I'll read one of them to you.
Well,
okay.
I mean, I was just describing one.
No. I'm on this topic of moral dilemmas, so let's read a couple.
What the hell? You're just completely sidestepping my entire scenario.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I thought you made your point.
Yeah, you kind of did.
That the only when it came to a person holding a gun up to her head.
No, that wasn't my point. That was just that was a thing that happened.
Okay.
The idea was she culpable for the things that were being done to her? / to what amount of responsibility were the people that were doing things?
Okay, well, it's partially her fault because she did have to sign a thing. You can do whatever you want to her.
We're so bad at not swearing.
I know. But she made that claim that you can do whatever you want. And she did not try to stop those people. But those people are responsible for actually not thinking about what they were doing to this person. Like, she is a human being. Like, her clothes were ripped off, she was bleeding. Like, what is wrong with people? Why would you do that to someone?
What I really just didn't understand was there wasn't really, like... She did this on purpose, obviously. And it was kind of just to show the nature of humans. And I don't think there was, like, anyone that outright just said, I'm going to stand next to this woman until this crazy experiment is over so she doesn't get killed.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, anyone actually did anything.
I disagree with your theory that...
Talk louder.
I disagree with your theory that it was her fault. Here's why. Obviously...
I wouldn't say it was totally her fault. I said she was partially responsible
I even disagree with that. You know why? Because I agree that there is such a thing as personal responsibility outright, yes. But, I mean, you're standing there, you're basically having the sign, you're being kind of stupid. But that's not bad. I mean, if somebody comes up to her and basically starts punching her in the face repeatedly, like, is that her fault at all?
She said you can do whatever you want.
It doesn't matter, though.
She said it.
It doesn't matter if she said that. It doesn't matter if she said that.
If I told you, okay, you can have my coat.
She provoked it.
I said you can have my coat.
She didn't provoke anyone.
She did. She said you can do whatever you want. Like, if I said, hey, I put a sign here that says you can have my coat, then you come and take it, and then I say, no, you can't have it. I said you could have it in the first place.
Well, you see, that's the idea,
well, that's saying you can have it.
No, the situation would be like, I won't stop you from taking this Coke. Would be the sign you'd have to write to be, like, accurate to the situation.
Okay, if I say...
Because it's not the same as saying, like, Dante, punch me in the face. Dante, punch me in the face. And me repeating this over and over again until you eventually punch me in the face.
If you find this picture, would you mind posting it to the Drexel Freethought Society page?
I will. And I will let that be for everyone to see.
It's like the same thing as, like, the candy scenario. You know, remember when you're a little kid and you went up to the Halloween, when you're, like, trick-or-treating, and you saw someone out with the bowl of candy, and it says, take as many as you want. Sometimes it says that, and kids go out, and they basically grab the entire bowl and just put everything into there. That's not the fault of the people that put that bowl out there. You know whose fault it is? It's the kid's fault, because the kid should have the moral decency to understand, I'm not going to be the only one here. Other kids should have it too.
But the people, they didn't have to put the sign out there saying, take as many as you want. Like, they could have said, please only take one. But that doesn't mean that the person's only going to...
But that's the same thing with, that's the same thing with, like, welfare and stuff. Is it the government's fault for trying to help people out? Or is it, like, someone like... I'll use for example because my mom did this. My mom's fault by basically, like taking it even though she didn't need it. That's my mom's fault. That's not the government's fault. But other people shouldn't suffer because of one stupid person.
I'm not saying that it's the government's fault. Like, I'm saying the government should have better regulations. It's partially the government's fault because they were just giving it out without even checking if the person
They weren't just giving it out though.
That's not how it works. I don't think the government thing is very apt because there's a lot of paperwork and there's lots of more things going into this. In like other situations like the candy I like, is because the children, yes, if they had the wherewithal or whatever phrase you feel like using of understanding that, yep, I am now taking this candy from other people who would also like it. But at the same time, this particular house, I'll say, invited them to do this.
It's not that way though. It's like the whole argument where, you know, this woman, there's different scenarios. A woman walks in and she's provocatively dressed, and a man comes up and rapes her. Is that the woman's fault? No, it's not.
Well,
but you can look at it another way, where the woman comes up.
Hear me out.
If
I walk into a room and I'm wearing like something really short where all my shit is just hanging out, like, okay, that might turn someone on. It's like you kind of are provoking someone.
It's not.
I'm not saying you go and rape the woman, but I'm just saying, like...
There's a difference. I mean, if the one person goes up and rapes her, of course it's wrong. If the guy goes up and, like, stares at her boobs, that's her fault, because, you know, she dressed that way, and men are like that. Like, us as men are like that, because we have a...
How many...
Okay, like, if a woman comes in with the top down to here, even I'm gonna stare, because it's just there.
Exactly.
No, I mean...
It's her fault. So you want me to look at her top, then you should not be wearing the top down to her belly button.
I really enjoy the intensity of this conversation. But the one thing I do have to say, and I will say this isn't really my opinion, I just want to kind of pose the idea, is it's like, you're saying just staring at the person. It's like, it's like, does touching, is that crossing the line?
That is crossing the line.
But I mean, why?
Okay,
why? Because you're not hurting the person by looking at their boobs, even though you're being...
Why not? What if you make them feel horribly uncomfortable, and it causes them to...
If you're making them feel horribly uncomfortable, they shouldn't have been dressing
like that. What if that's the only clothes they have?
Wear an undershirt.
No, I'm just saying, like, there are situations where it's like, what if they just happen...
Salvation Army bid and get it.
I think we're missing the general point.
That's where we have the individual's perspective.
Joe?
Something I wanted to bring up because of all this talk about like how people dress and stuff like that. That reminded me. For those of you who don't know, down in Philly, there's going to be the Slut Walk happening this weekend.
Oh, I heard about that.
Slut Walk?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember the Slut Walk.
Yes. Supposedly it's a protest against rape and stuff like that.
Is this where all the women are going to be topless?
It's going to be where all the women dress in skimpy outfits, basically.
I am going to go there topless, so you're going to be like, oh yeah?
If they were topless, I'd be there.
I'm just kidding.
No, there was a topless protest, too.
See, I don't understand how that's helping.
Yeah, I don't either.
Because it's kind of like, yeah, I appreciate the notion where women don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed of their own bodies. I approve of that message.
My body, but that doesn't mean everyone else needs to see what my body looks like.
Some woman
it's a tension.
Doc.
Well, there's actually a thing that I saw on Penn and Teller, and they were doing this one thing where these women were going around and they didn't wear tops on, like it was all hanging out. There's nothing wrong with that though. That they weren't top free, not topless, and they wanted to make a statement. They wanted to make a statement.
They weren't wearing tops.
Well, they wanted to make a statement that, you know, like, it's not only, you know, a sexual thing. It's like expressing themselves. It's like the whole thing with breastfeeding. Like, some people see that and they're like, oh, gross, you shouldn't be doing that in public. But, like, then there's other people who are like, oh, that's perfectly natural. You can do that.
It is natural. It is a biological function. You need to feed your kid, and that is the way to do it.
Well, I agree
So
with
do
that.
it. Like,
Urinating is a biological function, too.
What?
Urinating is also a biological function.
Yeah, but I'm
that's
saying
fair.
do it, but don't do
And
it where it makes
people
anyone
really frown if
uncomfortable.
you, like, pee on the bench they're sitting on.
No, I'm saying don't make anyone uncomfortable. If
Really?
someone is uncomfortable
Never
with you
had that.
breastfeeding near them, then go somewhere else. Or cover up. Like, you can get, like,
You can be like discreet.
yeah,
You can
get, like, those little, I don't even know
You
what
don't
they're
have to be
called.
like woohoo. Like
Yeah.
Alright, Sparrow10UK says, the Slut Walk. We're going to tantalize you on purpose because you can't do anything about it.
No, I mean, honestly,
Yes,
okay.
you can go home and...
Can I just make a quick statement about that? Alright,
Yeah, sucks.
when people go out, they're looking for attention. Like, that's why people go to clubs, they go to bars. They're looking for someone else. They're looking for a significant other, usually. Whether it be to hook up or whatever reason, whatever they want to do. So they want to draw attention to themselves.
Not all the time, though. You know, if you're going to go to a bar, sometimes you don't even want to meet anyone. You just want to drink.
Then why do you dress up?
Exactly.
What?
If you just want to drink, you wouldn't be wearing.
Because we're socially conditioned to dress up sometimes. We're
There
socially conditioned.
is that.
We're socially conditioned to think, all women have to wear makeup or something. My girlfriend, she doesn't wear makeup, but I like it when she doesn't wear makeup. I particularly like it more when she doesn't wear makeup than when she does.
I don't think it's your decision or any guy's decision.
It isn't. But I'm
But
just
what
saying.
I do, like if I want to wear makeup, I'll wear makeup.
No,
If I don't
I'm
want
just
to,
saying
then
that's by her own.
One person speaks at a time.
Sorry. I'm saying that's by her own thing, and I'm perfectly okay with it. I actually prefer it that way because she's doing it because she wants to.
because I know some guys are like, they tell their girlfriends or significant others or whatever, don't wear makeup because they're like, we don't want you getting attention from other people,
Well, I'm
like
not
other
like
guys
that.
or whatever. And I'm like, no, it is not up to you to decide what the other person does, the way they dress. Like, I understand, some people like the significant other to dress in a certain way because they're like, oh, like that flatters you, or I like the way you look. And maybe the significant other is willing to do that. But you
So
can't
I'm
tell
going
them
to
what do.
I love that we're getting all intense and emotional about this, but we can have a podcast about the bar scene.
Okay.
Don't get me started.
We are talking about the
Morality.
morality.
I'd like a tall glass.
So let's. Thank you.
Is it more of a
Let's go with the ethical dilemmas.
Okay. The first one. You are an inmate in a concentration camp.
I can't hear you.
Okay. You are an inmate in a concentration camp. A sadistic guard is about to hang your son who tried to escape and wants you to pull the chair from underneath him. He says that if you do not, he will not only kill your son but some other innocent inmate as well. You don't have any doubt that he means what he says. What should you do?
What is an innocent inmate?
Wait, pull the chair out from under him?
Yeah, because
Hanging.
the warden.
Son's hanging. That you pull the chair out because they don't have a proper gallows.
Oh, so it's like he's going to murder. Wait, so
You kind of are sort of murdering him. Yes.
So he wants you to kill him,
Yes.
or else he's. Oh, okay.
I will also not only kill your son, but he'll also kill someone else.
Kill the jailer.
Yeah, honestly, I'd kill a jailer too.
That's not an option. You're in a concentration camp.
Kill the jailer. It is an option.
Okay, like
It's always an option.
This was a similar issue on an SVU episode where the inmate, one of the wardens, was raping her daughter outside, like while she was in jail. He was raping her daughter, and she actually killed him. She killed the warden because he was raping her daughter.
And that gets me back into my next one. This is the other one I really like. You have a wonderful daughter. She's 8 years old and has always been a happy, outgoing child. Evidence to convict him of. Finally, his will
Speak
gets.
louder.
Finally, his will gets. Finally, his. Okay, there's a typo here. It's what. Finally, he'll get what he deserves, basically. But then you remember that you saw him in the restaurant at the time of the murder. You know he did not murder his wife. Maybe he paid someone else to do it. You remember the police said that it had been made to look like a
Speak louder.
burglary. Maybe it was. You sit down to think. If you keep quiet, he will be convicted for the murder, and the real murderer will go free. If you give him an alibi, he will go free. But you can't be sure that the real murderer will be found, and it's possible that the evil man paid someone else to do it. What do you do?
In this situation, honestly, like, even though I think he raped my daughter, I'd be pretty darn upset about it. But he didn't murder his wife. Like, he didn't do it.
He could have hired someone else to do it.
He
though.
could have hired someone. But
Well, I mean, I could
didn't.
have hired somebody to murder that person in this fictitious story.
Okay, well,
Like,
Do one.
there's not enough evidence.
alright, well, The thing is, according to actual laws and stuff like that, even if you hired someone to do it, you are just as guilty in the court of law, because you are an accomplice.
But until there's evidence without a doubt, you can't put away an innocent person. That's not how our system works. That's not how justice works.
They do.
Yes, but if you can prove that they hired someone to do it,
then by all means, put him in jail. Hey,
exactly.
Do whatever you want. But there is no evidence that he killed.
No, I mean the idea is, I think the idea of this dilemma is, do you want this person to die as revenge for a previous crime?
Okay, if everyone starts holding revenge for a lot of people do hold revenge, but that only causes things to get worse.
I actually was at a talk recently where there was a big conversation on what the justice system is even for, and one of the big ideas is it's one of its sole purposes is to make it so revenge doesn't happen. So they are the external, all-powerful source of justice in the universe. So that way, there won't be families that for generations will just continually murder each other. I mean, like, that's a thing. That used to always happen. Because families would just continually murder each other.
Capulets and monarchies.
Yeah.
So instead, we have a justice system which says, like, you don't go hunting down the murderer, because we'll do it. So I agree, actually. If people are allowed to solve their own problems by the edge of a sword, then we'll be in a lot more trouble.
I challenge you to a duel. Pick your weapon.
There's only a few states in the country that still allow duels.
I was gonna make a joke by saying will it be on motorcycles, but you took it as a different way. So
anyway,
and honestly, like, you should get that child some therapy before doing anything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably should think of because they're not really thinking this through completely. Because you want to think of the well-being of your child before you think of any notions of revenge.
It's very easy to ask that question now, but if you were actually in that situation, you'd be very emotionally compromised, and you'd be like, that guy raped my daughter. I'm going to kill him. I mean, if you were actually in that...
I would probably be like that. Honestly, I would be like, you did what? Like, no.
There is the notion that Sparrow 10 UK, which I have been allowed to say is Ellen, she says that, especially because then justice becomes subjective if people take it into their own hands, which is very true and very troubling. If your notion of justice isn't adhered to anything, then you can just kind of go, oh, they cut me off, time for some murdering. This is kind of an idea, it goes very strongly with the moral situation, is if your morals do have to kind of be subjective, otherwise a lot of problems arise. But justice isn't necessarily the same thing. Comments?
Just
Yes, Joe.
You're great, Joe.
yes, my opinion on the matter with the whole scenario. As my own personal moral, even if someone has did something horrible to me, I would never wish death upon someone. I mean, yes, I would like something bad to happen to them, but not necessarily death.
But if they murdered your entire family in front of you?
I still wouldn't, because I think it's actually wrong to wish death upon someone, regardless of the case.
I'd be pretty upset about it too. Like, honestly, in those situations, like, you're just emotionally disturbed. Like, the best thing to do is seek out help from someone. All you need is someone to hear you out, to make you feel a little bit better.
Exactly.
Even if
once we agree on something.
I'm going to go in a completely different direction now for the last 10 minutes of the show, and just go with, where do atheists get their morality from?
Ooh, that is a good question.
May I?
Yes, as long as you speak loudly.
Okay. I personally believe that all of us kind of have an innate moral system within us, unless you are unfortunate enough to be born a sociopath, in which case that moral compass is not there. For example, I mean, I know that they have done studies where they, like, regardless of people's religion,
Religious affiliation.
ethics, whatever. Regardless of that, they asked these people, they said, if there was a 3-year-old drowning, and, you know, in this kid, basically 3% said no, I want my pants. Like,
yeah, they were all sociopaths.
No,
Actually, 3% would probably be accurate of the number of people that are sociopaths.
Yeah, so.
But
can I?
no, but I need to actually argue a point with that.
Okay.
That we mentioned slightly earlier, is it's not so much that, like, there's an innate sense of empathy, like an ability to tell that Dante seems upset, Dante seems happy. Like, there's an idea of our ability to feel another person's emotions.
Sure.
But morals, I wouldn't actually agree. Because if you lived in a society your entire life where the only way to get food is murder your neighbors, then murder is just dandy. Because it's the only way you get food.
Can I?
We live in a society where a brutally murdering slew of animals is totally dandy, because that's the only way we see that we'll get food. Yeah, I think morals are far too plastic to be able to put it in that kind of situation.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm about to leave, but can I say?
Yeah,
something
say your
really
final
quick?
bit and then run like a school child of
All right.
some kind.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna share a YouTube comment that I completely agree with. And this sort of has to do with morality in some way. Liberal, if he sees somebody throwing babies into a river, the liberal would probably go over and try to save that one baby. I'm not a liberal. I'm the next person. A far left-wing radical would go over to the guy throwing the babies into the river and slaughter him.
Well, I think slaughtering is...
Can't you just, like, bend his arm behind your mouth?
Sorry. That's not what I meant. I was thinking in my head. That's not what I would do. I mean, go over to the other side of the river and beat him up.
Okay, that's
Basically,
probably better than slaughter.
No, I don't mean that.
Slaughter's kind of like, I'm going to take a sharp knife and drain the blood from your body.
That's not how I think.
Look at our users.
No, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant.
That's fine. Well, okay.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I know, Chaz. Chaz brings up an interesting point. He says that his morality comes from two different key things. One is he wouldn't want to do anything that would damage his status quo. Like the way he doesn't want to do anything that'll damage how his life is progressing currently.
Okay.
And work towards building win-win relationships. You see,
what if somebody you'll never see him and you see again? Does that give you the right to be rude to them?
Yes, it does.
You see, I'm in a situation where I really try to... I go overboard with the golden rule and go like...
Can you edit my part out later on?
Nope, it saves automatically.
No!
Go away.
I didn't mean it!
Now that he's leaving, I just want to say that...
Baby killer slaughterer.
He wants to kill children. He doesn't. He's a good guy.
As far as we know.
Okay, so back to the thing I was almost saying. Like...
Yeah, we have faith in the guy. Jeez.
It's like, changing up the status quo I think is actually a very good idea. Because if you're in a point in your life where things aren't going the way that you want it, or if people around you are suffering, then it's a very good idea to change everything. And even more than just that, actually, Chad just commented, it's not treat people how I want to be treated, it's treat people how they treat themselves. Ooh.
Huh? Elaborate, please. I don't get it.
So someone punches themselves in the face, that means I...
No, it's kind of like treat people the way they earn being treated, is how I'm reading this.
Like if
But the
someone's
thing is-
like extremely rude,
Then treat them extremely rude.
Yeah.
The thing is, with the whole earn thing, people, they kind of quantify it as, like, you know, does this person really deserve this treatment, this much treatment? Like, if somebody's being a jerk to you, you're going to be a jerk to them. Well, the thing is, how much of a jerk to them are you going to be? Are you going to be are you going to be just as much of a jerk to them as they are to you? Are you going to be a little bit better than that person, not as much of a jerk, or are you going to be an even bigger jerk just to teach them a lesson?
Okay. I'm going to make a comment on this one. Like, there's one person who's been pretty darn mean, not nice. Well, they haven't been mean to me, but they haven't been nice either, and this has been going on for a while. So, I'm not, necessarily mean to them, but I'm not exactly nice to them either. Like, if I can find a way to irk them a little bit, I do it. But I'm just at that point where I'm like, that is doing nothing for me. Like...
Are you talking about Joe?
No. I'm not talking about Joe. This is, someone totally different. But,
it's what I do.
Me being mean to them...
I'm sorry for being me.
It wasn't you, Joe, so chill out. I'm just saying, me being mean to them does not give me anything. Honestly, it just makes me feel worse about myself. I'm I'm not this kind of a person. I'm usually pretty nice to everyone. I'm not a mean person. So I'm just it's not doing me any good. It's not doing them any good. So why not just drop it and move on with my life?
Well, I was actually having this sort of a similar conversation with someone the other day. I think it was actually Cassie I was talking to. When I was in high school, I was really involved in my theater program, and some of the kids in that theater program and the director were particularly either nasty to me or ignored me completely. It was very cliquey, it was very uncomfortable, I had a very bad experience. And I was telling him, I'm it bothers me that I'm still holding on to this anger, that I can't go back and, talk to people that were in, I can't go back and see the play because I'm still holding on to this anger. I'm but until I can get rid of that anger, I think it's better that I stay away instead of going there and risk something nasty coming out of my mouth.
You people are so mature.
The Sparrow was referring to what I was talking about earlier, and she says more subjectivity there. That's correct. When I was talking about the level of being a jerk, more subjectivity there. And Chad says you have to out a-hole the a-hole. So it looks like he is taking the position of you have to be the bigger jerk. You have to out.
Not even just out.
No, I've tried that. I've tried out. It does not work because that person obviously does not care for you. They don't care what you have to say. They don't care what happens to you. So why should you care about them? You're wasting energy. You're wasting time. You have better things to do with your life.
Right,
exactly.
We have 3 minutes left, and I'm going to call this as our final comments period. So just go around really fast and say your final comments on do atheists have morals, where do they come from, religious nonsense, whatever you want to talk about. Go.
Yes, atheists can have... Yes, atheists can be moral. Again, moral is very subjective. Morality can come from very different avenues. So just in conclusion, yes, they can.
I also agree. Atheists can have morals because morals don't always stem from religion. There's a variety of sources. Mostly it's society that kind of steers your moral compass.
I kind of want to draw a quote from, I forget which or ironically it's a religious text, I believe. But I remember it said, as long as it harm none, do as ye will. And that's kind of, I guess, where I draw my moral compass from. So I just the golden rule, I think. If you stick to that, you're probably pretty golden.
Joe, quickly.
Really, I have nothing else to comment on this subject. Like I said before, I believe everyone can be moral. It really depends on what your morals are, and by what definition do you consider being immoral.
Okay. I'm going to partially comment off another thing that Ellen emailed us earlier. And just, having your morals come from religion means you can be lazy and not think about whether your actions are moral or not. Instead, just blindly follow what you've been told or is acceptable or not. So I'd actually go a lot into that. I agree very strongly, is if you are an atheist, it means that you have to figure out your ideas for yourself. You don't have a book to fall back on. You don't have a doctrine to fall back on.
Dawkins.
Atheists have a very interesting situation where we have to constantly reassess and constantly think about these things. And although religious people do that also, we actually admit it. Anyway, we have very little time left. Morals to me are too flighty. I'd like it better if people had more principles than morals. Well said, Chaz. Okay, we have the Drexel Freethought Society. We talk about stuff. Next week we're going to have some topic that will probably be a little more lighthearted. Thank you all for joining us. Please share. Email us at drexfreethought@gmail.com. Call in next week, guys. We'd love to hear from you. Suggest topics. Do whatever you like. Spread us around. Have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go